I reckon one of the best things about painting pandanus trees is you've got all these different layers. You've got branches, you've got leaves, you've got the background, and you can really create the illusion of depth and dimension. And what I'm doing here is I'm going to put some leaves in the foreground in front of this branch and push some behind. So I'll just mess around with a little bit of dimension. This is so much fun doing this. What I'm doing here is I'm creating the illusion of volume in this branch. And one of the ways I do it is I have the light reflected on this side, and then in a couple of seconds I'll come back and I'll put some gold on the underside, and that's the light hitting the sand and bouncing back up underneath. Putting those little flashes of colour in everywhere just gives everything so much more life. So what I'm doing now is I'm just accentuating that light reflecting back up off the sand, giving that branch more volume. And I'll probably repeat this process a few times. And for anyone who's interested, this colour I'm using is burnt umber and cadmium yellow medium. You can see here now, this leaf is now behind that tree. There's a few other little things I'll do to it to push that illusion. So what I'm doing now is putting the highlights of the sky on the edge where the light's hitting it to create the illusion of volume, and I'm just going to keep building that up. I put these lovely little ribs that run around the trunk. They're really fantastic because they create the illusion of things going away from you. And when you paint trees, try and look for things like that that create the illusion of a branch moving away from you or coming towards you, reflections and highlights and things. When I've done that, I'll come back and I'll put highlights on these trunks here, and the whole thing will just go pow. So what I've done is I've shaped all the trees. I've just started to put the highlights on there. I've just put these leaves in front so you get a real sense of some of these leaves being on the other side and just playing with that dimension. So I'll let that dry, re-establish the highlights, and then come back and work over the leaves again. Just pushing up these highlights here. I'll let that dry and come back over it with pure white. Because white's a little bit transparent, even if you put pure white over something, the colour underneath shows through it a little bit. So I quite like the idea of putting white over the top and just letting a hint of the colour underneath show through. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to have to put a few highlights on a couple of these little leaves, and then I'm going to have a couple of these leaves backlit. So that'll mean doing stuff like we're on the closing, what is it, the final straight now? Just about finished. A little bit more work to go on this, but hopefully this has been useful, seeing how you can build up the intensity and the highlights and create the illusion of depth using tone and shade. I really like painting that dappled light coming through. I hope it's useful, and hopefully there's some information on our website that will help with this, exploreacrylicpainting.com, and yeah, see you later.